War never changes. From the Trojan War to World War II, everything after and everything in between. It's a testament of strength and bravery to men and women. Many times, soldiers ask if they're doing the right thing. The answer is never clear, and yet they fight on all the same. Not for their cause, but for their loved ones who can't. But no war is greater than the console wars of the 90s. Just as promised, we're back talking about Zelda again. I'm still unemployed. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. But we can't even think about talking about this title without getting into the importance of the era it released. Despite my opinions on Zelda 2, people really did like it. This console generation was absolutely dominated by Nintendo, as they had been releasing banger after banger. I mean, of course, this was before the internet, so people didn't know what was a holy grail by Nintendo and what was muscle. But whereas the NES had Super Mario Bros., let's take a look at the Atari 2600. I realize this isn't a fair comparison as it's a generation behind, but this thing sold so well, more people have these rotting under their entertainment centers than there were Atari 4800s in the world. And of course, I just never want to miss an opportunity to bash Atari. And if we want to bash Atari, look no further than one of the best games, Frostbite. Oh, Frostbite. What is this game about? Okay, fine, I'll be fair. Let's take a look at the best game on the Sega Master System. This one's called Alex Kidd. It has its fans, but I would need to start a GoFundMe to compensate for the time that it takes to find them. Damn it, I lost! You lose. Think about the poor little kid that asked for a Master System instead of the NES for Christmas. Aw, dude, have you played the new Metroid? That depends, did it come bundled with eSWAT? In all fairness to the Sega Come Play eSWAT Master System, all consoles had misleading shovelware back then, Nintendo included. So that shouldn't give me the right to shake my finger at those other consoles. Point is, Nintendo wasn't on top because they didn't have bad games. They were on top because their good games were earth-shattering, and there was so many of them. There was just nothing the other consoles could do about it. But maybe there's something their younger brothers could. Introducing the Sega Genesis. As I said, the Sega Master System was famous for a game called Alex Kidd, as well as... Not to mention, the Japanese version of this console released on the same day as the NES. Imagine your birthday was the same day as Jesus Christ. Oh, you brought us gifts? Gold? Frankincense? Myrrh? Wait a minute, that's not for this baby, it's for another baby down the block. Great. Now the only gift my baby has is Ghosts and Ghouls for the Sega Master System. Releasing in America in 1989, this holy grail of a gaming console was everything the bitch-ass NES was scared to be. It had a much more badass look. It's sleek, black, and awesome. And it just screams that this console is for the big kids. Take that, Where's Waldo on the NES? Eventually, Nintendo saw the competition and realized they can't play Donkey Kong Jr. math forever. Imagine society if we could. The NES was definitely dated. Something had to be done. So they did the only thing that the makers of the Nintendo Entertainment System would do. They added the word super. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System, yikes, came out in 1991, the year where the Cold War ended and a new war begun. The theme they went for this console generation was gray and purple, and holy shit, this thing looks awesome. This is by far one of my favorite looking consoles. And look at this controller. 4 face buttons, 2 shoulder buttons, the color purple. I love the color purple. If you couldn't fucking tell. I don't know what people thought about this console in the 90s, but I'm sure they saw purple and said, purple's for pussies, I'm gonna play Echo the Dolphin. That game sure is the anti-pussy. Which brings me to the games it could play. Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Super Mario RPG, Earthbound, Kirby, Panel de Pon, Pilot Wings, Panel de Pon, Mario Kart, Panel de Pon, Panel de Pon, Panel de Pon! This is seriously one of the best game libraries out there. Did I mention I could play Panel de Pon? But seriously, look at all those game titles. What do you have to say about that, Sega? A lot, actually. Every single game Nintendo released for this console was either met by or to meet another smash hit by Sega. Super Metroid was an awesome game, but Castlevania was as well. It was on both consoles, but many preferred the Sega version. You like Kirby? They got Ripstar. Even Super Mario World, what I think should have been the best game until that point, it got matched by Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. And while a lot of these comparisons are not one-to-one by any means, the fact that the Sega Genesis had so many games of actual good quality, of so many different genres, makes these two juggernaut consoles neck and neck. It is all up to personal preference for which of these you prefer in each matchup, but there's one comparison that is undoubtedly one-sided. Mortal Kombat on the SNES versus Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis. They are the same game. But the Sega Genesis version has a cheat code that upon entering it, activates the blood graphics. Nintendo's for pussies.
So, tell me again.
How many more times do you need to hear it?
I don't know, it just makes increasingly less sense to me.
Look, man, Sega consoles have blast processing, meaning our games are faster than Nintendo's.
But the specs on the SNES are better.
Yeah, but they don't have blast processing.
What even is blast processing?
Not to mention, Mortal Kombat on the Sega is going to have blood in it.
And Nintendo's won't?
Nah, man. Some religious mom's gonna find out her little Timmy is playing a game where Scorpion uses Sub-Zero's intestines as a jump rope, and she's gonna be coming after us, and not with a gun like my Uncle Gordon. With a lawyer.
He does that?
My Uncle Gordon?
No, Sub-Zero.
No, man. I mean, at least I don't think he does. What I'm trying to say is, there are kids that can play Sega games that have blood in them, and kids that can play Nintendo games that don't have blood in them. Come on, man. We gotta go to Chef Kablungus's. We're gonna be late. Every war has propaganda, and those are for wars where you couldn't really choose a side. Now imagine the propaganda of a war where both sides are trying to get the same people to enlist. And the propaganda led to two phrases that even a 2001 baby like me know today. Phrase number 1. Blast processing. The only specs people understood in the 80s were bits. The NES had 8 bits, and the Sega Genesis had 16. Do the math, Grandma! But with the SNES, both consoles had 16 bits. Don't quote me on this, but I believe the SNES had better specs in every way. Sega had to do something, so they made sure that everybody and their dogs knew that the Sega Genesis had blast processing! And because of blast processing, the Genesis was capable of running faster games. So what was the secret piece of hardware that was providing the blast processing? Blast process didn't mean a damn thing. Some Sega marketing rep turned off MTV and made some shit up. Blast processing? Are you kidding me? How many people will be stupid enough to believe that? Almost 31 million. So if anyone ever flexed how good Donkey Kong Country 3 looks, all Sega fans had to say was, blast processing! Phrase number 2. Sega does what Nintendo don't. This one's pretty straightforward. It's just another marketing scheme that Sega came up to say that they do what Nintendo don't. Obviously, a play on the word Nintendo, the last syllable sounding like do. They're fucking geniuses, what can I say? The first thing I think of when I hear Nintendo don't is their whole Mortal Kombat blood situation. Cause, you know, say it with me, class, Nintendo's for pussies! Of course, the other thing Nintendo doesn't is blast processing, but you know, it's not real. But whereas Sega had Nintendo tied or beat in so many ways, there was one game that the Sega Genesis could not top. Panelly Pawn! Oh my god, look at this game! A cute Japanese puzzle game that got localized under the title Tetris Attack. It's so fun and satisfying to move around the board and match together all the colored tiles. Combos are awesome, difficulty scaled perfectly, 1v1s are the best. This is easily the best game on the SNES. Take that, Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine for the Genesis! Well, I got time, so I might as well tell you about the second best SNES game. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. For an adventure game, it was revolutionary. For a tile-based Japanese puzzle game, it could use some work. You must be Jake.
Let me check. Yes.
Looks like I caught you at breakfast. What are you eating?
Dirty pretzels.
Pretzels! The cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast. Now, me and him,
We work for Sega. Now, you do remember the makers of the Sega Genesis, right?
Oh, yes, I remember. I could never forget.
Then answer me this. What do you look like?
What?
Do you look like a bitch?
What?
Do you look like a bitch?
Oh.
Then why are you trying to play Nintendo like a bitch?
Good games, good music.
Shut up! Where are we gonna find what we're looking for? The copy of Link to the Past that was so good, you had to play that over Golden Axe.
It's over there.
Tony, we happy?
We happy. As for you? He just died!
Shit, man. We're gonna interrogate him.
You don't think I knew that?
Well, I didn't kill him.
And you saying I did? Whatever. I'm gonna be late for a meeting anyways.
What meeting? What kind of meeting? Tony!
The game starts with Link dreaming of Princess Zelda. We've all been there. His uncle tells him he's got to return some videotapes to Blockbuster and tells Link not to move. I'm sure some 90s kid took this literally and never moved. Well, if you choose to defy instructions, you find out that he never made it to the Blockbuster and instead died tragically in this castle dungeon. Your uncle gives you your sword and your adventure officially starts. This feels a lot like Zelda 1, but just done to so much of a better degree. Oh yeah, I should probably mention, this game is just like Zelda 1! It's top-down, you get items, it's a connected overworld, there's no random surprise encounters, and there's no XP levels. But not only is it like Zelda 1, it's so much more evolved. Zelda 1's dungeons were designed on graph paper, and it shows. This game is so beautiful. Sure, it's still tile-based, but god, you could hardly tell. Link actually swings his sword in an arc. The animations are so much more fluid. I can actually tell what things are supposed to be. And the colors. Look at the grass, look at the water, look at Link's hair. You ever want to use glue as eye drops? People for years have been speculating why Link's hair is pink. The most popular theory, which I hear people spout as fact a little too much, is that the SNES had a limited color palette and Link's hair couldn't be blonde, it had to be pink. Years later, people went into the game's code and proved that this is untrue and they were able to give him normal hair color. I don't know whoever believed this. There's literally yellow on his hat. To get in the aforementioned castle, Link can't just access the front gate. He's got to go around and get through the side. Just making the player do this is pretty damn cool. Shows that the answer won't always be given to you. You have to work a little for it. Link. Uncle, the Blockbuster is the other way. Why are you returning videotapes here? Link, you fucking idiot. I'm not actually returning my videotapes. I just said that so you wouldn't follow me. Oh, no way! You rented Star Wars? Link, Link, listen to me. You gotta save Princess Zelda. The fate of the world depends on it. Okay, I'm gonna go return your videotapes now, Uncle. See you at home. One dead uncle down and we're on our way to save Princess Zelda. The castle is a fun challenge, especially on 3 hearts. Go further in the castle's dungeons, and there she is. Gee, you think they would have guarded her a little bit better. Leaving you to escort her out of the castle. Just seeing these two walk together, being finally visible to the naked eye is so wholesome. I'm sorry, I just can't get over how good this game looks. Especially since I'm used to seeing this fucking mess. I know I said I don't care about graphics, but come on. This versus this? I can't help but to just be so happy. It's not a matter of graphical capability, it's a matter of I can see what things are supposed to be. She brings you to the secret exit and into a church. I'm already baptized. Well, it turns out that even though Princess Zelda is safe, the rest of Hyrule isn't. The land is threatened by the man who took the castle from Zelda's father. And he goes by the name, and you're just gonna have to believe I'm not fucking with you on this one. The Wizard. Sure. Off we go to get the Master Sword. Just gotta quickly run through these woods, grab it, and it doesn't work. I probably shouldn't have mashed A through all that text. Well, nothing restarting the game won't accomplish. Okay, apparently you're supposed to talk to some guy to find out how you pull the sword. Yeah, that's a problem with Zelda that really started with this game. There's a lot of reading to do, and if you don't want to read it, you're gonna get lost. You might say, Zach, how's that a problem? Just read the damn text. People talk a lot in these games. Modern ones should be fully voice acted, but that's a problem for another video. As for this game, I don't know, highlight important text, It's not too bad. I guess it's just the stupid monkeys in my brain. They're too impatient to read. I'm a gamer, not a nerd. If I wanted to read, I'd go play Family Feud on the SNES. I guess I should be glad that they talk rather than having the story in the manual. So sure, shame on me. Now I've read, and now I know. Doesn't mean I'm never mashing A through text ever again. But it would be nice if all this text was reviewable. It usually is, but not every time. Alright, last time I'm gonna say it, pinky promise, but oh my god, look at Hyrule in this game. It's so big and detailed, I just can't get over it. It doesn't feel like an assortment of blocks and squares that are all the same. The levels and cliffs are so impressive, it makes the game feel less like a plate and more like a country. I know you think you get the point, but you really don't. Not unless you were stuck playing Zelda 1 and 2, and then you're finally allowed to explore in this game. This is Zelda. This is what it's all about. The world, it changes everything. Just look at the map. Wait a minute. Look at the map! There's waypoints! Oh my god, this is incredible! I no longer have to run in circles wondering where the hell to go, praying I get a Nintendo Power magazine in the mail. Is it sad? That's something to be happy about. And the map, when you look at it in the game, is not just a stupid gray fucking square in the top of the screen looking at you, Zelda 1. And it's not just a world map to hide the fact that there's no exploration in your game. Looking at you, Zelda 2. But now that there's waypoints and a map that I can actually understand, the quest finally starts. First order of business, go and collect 3 pendants. Once you do that, you're finally able to pull the Master Sword. The dungeons to get these pendants are awesome. Rather than these MC Escher designed rooms that all look the same, they're actually textured to look like real medieval structures. The puzzles are so much more evolved. If there's a spot on the ground that the game wants you to stand, it actually looks like a pressure plate, rather than just some random spot on the ground. And the dungeon items? God, they finally nailed what I want from dungeon items. The dungeon is business as usual, using elements that it previously taught you. But once you have access to the dungeon item, you view everything differently. For example, the first dungeon item is a bow. Once you get it, the game nudges you in the directions of these statues. Fire an arrow into the eye socket and it does something. It's for combat, it's for progression. It heals my soul after having to deal with jump and raft. And it is so strong against the boss. And there's also items that are not required but are just super useful. There are many rooms that are super dark until you light these pyres using the lantern. You see, that's what E.T. on the Atari was missing. Visibility. Side note, I made it sound like in Zelda 2, these dark caves are always like that. But there is a way to turn the lights on. I just didn't mention it because it's fucking stupid. In Link to the Past, it's a trick for clever players. In Zelda 2, I can't tell if I'm missing an item or if I did something wrong in a past life. Inside dungeons, you can find dungeon maps and compasses. Zelda 1 had these items as well, but I didn't mention them there, so I'm gonna mention them here because again, this time, they're so much more useful. It actually shows more detail in each room. No way! Glitter? I'm gonna stand in it! Ah! I'm a rabbit, the grass is a different color, and I can't use my sword. What the hell is happening? What's happening is that this is a really fun gameplay mechanic. You enter this portal and you turn into a rabbit. You can no longer attack, but your environments change, allowing you to progress. Once you get where you need to, you can switch back to the normal world, restorative attacks, form, and terrain. It's really fun. Why does Link turn into a rabbit? This rabbit is pretty iconic to the Zelda series. I like the pink color on it, and wait, pink? His hair, the rabbit, it all makes sense! It wasn't the color palettes. Link is just a furry! Keep fighting on, and in a classic Zelda fashion, there's a unique boss at the end of each dungeon. They're all really cool. Except this one. This one's too difficult. Like, man, what the heck? I don't know what to do, man. I just keep getting hit. Please tell me in the comments how to defeat him. I'm too stupid. Once you get all 3 pendants, you can finally pull the Master Sword. And this moment right here is exactly what I love about the story in Zelda games. The dialogue in this game is alright, but it's the show don't tell that makes this story what it is. Link walking up to this long stretch of grass after pulling so many fake swords, all the animals running across, the epic animation as he takes it out of the pedestal. This is what I play Zelda games for. Not a word is said, but just the epic feeling of triumph as the music bellows below you is just all I need. As for using this iconic sword of fiction for the first time ever, it's pretty good. It's a much needed damage boost, and the blade beams come out of this thing so fast, this thing is so fun to use. Take notes, game developers. When a player has to work for an item, You want them to feel like a badass while using it. Buying Juggernog in COD Zombies, getting your first supercar in GTA, or popping your ultimate ability in numerous games. The fine line between feeling vulnerable and feeling invulnerable is the heart of game design.
This is huge. This is huge. Damon Barlow with the slam. With the slam! Oh my goodness!
It starts by making the player work so hard using your dead uncle's shitty sword, feeling so scared against all your enemies with nothing but this hand-me-down, all culminates into getting the Master Sword, and just feeling like you're so much better than the enemies. Time to go kill Dumbledore. The Wizard is at the top floor in Hyrule Castle. He stole Zelda while we were out sword shopping, but that's alright. We are Link after all, we'll save the day. The Wizard surely stands no chance against stopping us, and we'll have Zelda safe in no time. Do you do birthday parties? Holy shit! A fucking plot twist? It's not just the same song and dance plot the entire game? Actually losing Zelda is quite a shocking turn of events. You don't get that in old math game simulator. Climb up the tower and beat the shit out of the Wizard until he undoes the magic, and please, Mr. Wizard, teach me how to do that. That would make a really cool trick at parties. Finish off the Wizard, and he becomes a whiny bitch and sucks you into the place called the Dark World. This game is so good!
Yeah, man, I understand the deal. Find your guy, give him the money, and walk away with my copy of Link to the Past. Yeah, I know, man. I don't care. I work for Sega. One more playthrough of Echo the Dolphin, and I'm going to bounce off a wall. I need to play this Zelda game.
It's so good that there's an entire second map with an entire different color palette, lots of different structures and landscape, and all new enemy designs. When we were transported to this place earlier, I thought the changes were minuscule, just enough to make for a fun puzzle. But now that Link can go anywhere, and thanks to an item called the Moon's Pearl, you can explore for real and see that everything is different. Now is a little bit late, but the most important time to mention that throughout your journey, Link has been in contact with Sarsral. Salsa. Is it Sarharsal? I'm gonna call him Salsa. This guy from Kakariko Village. He contacts you via, like, Discord or something. Hello? The world is going to be destroyed! What's taking you so long? I'm busy. The Dark World is so impressive to walk through. It's also super fucking dangerous. The enemies are all these pigmen who take multiple hearts from you at a time. This is awesome! A great difficulty curve. In the overworld, you slowly build up your strength to overcome enemies, and now in the Dark World, you're back to being a puny little bitch. Now that you have the Master Sword though, you have a fighting chance in the Dark World. God, this game is so good! This is Zelda, baby! Woo! Let's go! Honestly, I talk about having to look at these games from the era that they came out, but this game, I don't really have to. I've already been stuck playing Zelda 1 and 2 for the past few weeks. While I appreciate those games, this one is just so much better, it makes me want to cry. And I haven't had a feeling like that since I played Jaimeray. Speaking of crying, Princess Zelda's probably doing a lot of that right now. Alright, enough of my rambling. It's time to go finally save Princess Zelda. How do I do that? Damn it, I skipped text again. Okay, I redid the game again up until that point. In this game's defense, there are waypoints on the map that could have just told me where to go. Oops. Go to the map, and there are 6 new dungeons for Link to conquer. All while using the mechanic of switching back and forth between the Dark World and Overworld. The game from here is just the same rinse and repeat, but it never feels repetitive. It's not as fresh as future Zelda games, but it's so much closer to those than the repetitive of the first two. The dungeon designs are a huge change up. The rooms are all different sizes and shapes, not just the office cubicles of the first one, even the textures are different. Like, look at this icy room. You can tell just how much love was put into it. Anyways, you find the dungeon items, unlock new parts of the dungeons, and save the 7 Sparty Princesses. Wait, that's from, that's Mario 3D World. 7 Chaos Emeralds? The 7 Deadly X's. I don't know. These guys. The 7 Maidens, that being 6 plus Zelda, are these women that Link needs to save in order to help him defeat Ganon. Each one is in each dungeon, and they all look exactly the same except for the hair color. You think two of them both wanted purple and they had to like fight over it? Man, I can't believe that bitch took purple! There's all kinds of upgrades for your sword and spells you can cast that are really cool and not extremely stupid, like the spells in Zelda 2. It's such a good feeling knowing that I feel much less like a wizard in this game, knowing that the spells are bound to my sword and medallions. Or your staffs. Look at these things. Like I said, it's magic, but it's tied to an item that Link finds. So much better done than the fire spell from Zelda 2. I know I said I like Zelda 2, but god, I fucking hate that game. You're a wizard, Ari. I'm a what? Oh, neat, you could light the pyres with the fire staff? Now I have a place to burn my copy of Double Dragon. Finally, just like in Zelda 1, Link can upgrade his outfit to give him more armor. Ew, disgusting! Why would he look like this? Who told him that this was okay? I don't know why they keep giving Link new outfits, man. Imagine if the final fight in Empire Strikes Back, Luke was dressed like this. Finally, you save the 6 maidens that aren't Zelda. Kill some wizards. And happen upon this friendly blue pig. Hello, Mr. Pig, how's it going? How did you get in here? Oh, I just killed some of the wizards outside, but I'm just interested in who you are. Like, what do you do for a living? I kidnap princesses and destroy Hyrule. Oh, I know a guy like that. His name's Ganon. I am Ganon. Ah! It's Ganon! This boss fight is so cool. It's just the Zelda 1 boss fight, but done right. Ganon teleports like before, but he isn't fucking invisible the whole time. And like, I can't say enough good things about this game. Just go play it, man. You guys know I have a severe love-hate relationship with Zelda 1. And most of my gripes are technological limitations. But this boss fight is the best example that all they needed was better hardware to make an unforgettable experience. Finally, defeat Ganon and reach the Triforce. You're told by, God, probably, that the Dark World was once the Golden World. But Ganon used the Triforce to corrupt it, so he could take control over the real world. When all 3 pieces of the Triforce are reunited, the holder can make a wish. Link wishes that the king would return to Hyrule, his uncle would recover from, well, being dead, and that all the NPCs Link found on his journey would have a happy ending. And finally, Link returns the Master Sword to the Lost Woods, allowing it to sleep forever. The perfect ending to one of the greatest games of all time. Can you believe I like Panel de Pon more than this game?
Thanks for the game. Mind if I play it here?
Me alleyway, Sue alleyway. Yeah, you just gotta unplug my toaster. It's plugged in under there.
Underwear?
I made you say underwear.
What?
Also, I work for Sega. We're legally mandated to kill you. He said under there. Puzzle games aside, at the time this released, Link to the Past was the greatest game ever at its time of release. What, you're gonna debate that? You think Echo the Dolphin has anything to say about it? It's a world you can get lost in. Zelda, not Echo the Dolphin. And it's just a work of art. Like, even the music changes based on your environment so much more than any games like it before. And it gave birth to one of my favorite songs in gaming. Zelda's Lullaby. I am so sorry, Ice Climber's theme song, you had a good run. I like working with Princess Zelda rather than just saving her. Saving the princess is a nice motivator to a basic story. But this game is more evolved. It can tell a slightly more complex story. Also, too many games of saving the woman might feel a little not inclusive. I have no doubt they were just going for a classic old school fairy tale type story, but letting her help probably makes it more feel fun for all genders. I can't wait to be verbally harassed by sexist guys in the comments. The multiple characters on your journey feel so damn fresh. Characters, in my opinion, are what drive a story. Don't believe me? Look at this Windex. No characters inside it and there's no story in sight. Link, Zelda, the 7 Deadly X's, Ganon, Uncle Blockbuster, Salsa, even this fucking elf chopping down a tree. It all just makes Hyrule feel so much more alive than it ever has. And no, I don't fucking count characters like Error from Zelda 2. The difficulty curve when entering the Dark World is perfect. Okay, it's a little unfair that these little piggies do too much fucking damage. 3 goddamn hearts, but you know what? I don't care. I still love it. If you're good enough at the game, you can avoid taking damage entirely. And hey, we're in a different world now. Everything is much more threatening, and it really feels like you're in the dark world. And while we all know how much more the series can evolve in the power department, it still doesn't have the same problems as Zelda 1 and 2. The game isn't struggling, it does everything it's intending to. Items that can move actually feel like they're moving, rather than the game just casting it in a different direction. If you're a programmer, you probably know more what I'm trying to say here. You can tell what everything is supposed to be. Link's walking feels so much more fluid, and that Ganon fight feels like what it was meant to be. This isn't a retelling of the first game in terms of the story, but it's definitely a retelling of gameplay mechanics. And while this game is incredible today, playing it after being stuck in Zelda 1 and 2 for a few weeks is so nice. I can't imagine what playing this game for the first time after years of Zelda 1 and 2 would be like. I have a section here written saying how much it gets outdone by every other Zelda game. I never understood why people said that this was their favorite Zelda game. I still don't, but I at least see more now. I understand it. I understand both from the era it released and even playing it today. Here I have it written down. Ooh, I don't know. Is it A tier or B tier? This is not scripted. I don't know. It's so good, but like other games are also so good. I'm just gonna keep dancing and then eventually I'll figure it out. I'm gonna rank this game. Okay, if we're ranking games of all time, it's like A or S, no doubt. But fuck. If we're going based on Zelda games, there's so many good Zelda games. I'm so sorry. I just rambled this whole video about how much I love this game. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfect game, but it doesn't do anything like super over the top and extraordinary. The switching between worlds is so good. I'm just rambling now. None of this is written down. I can't put it B tier, and I can't put it A tier. I'm gonna put it like here, between A and B. I can do it. It's my list. Fuck you. I literally can. Don't even tell me I can't. I'll bump it up and down if I need to. But I will say this. Panel de Pon is an S tier Zelda game.
Chef Kabong's Gaming Lounge.
Your menu, sir.
Thank you. Golden Axe, Echo the Dolphin, Streets of Rage. I know I own a Sega Genesis, but can I get links to the past, please?
Excellent choice. Anything to eat?
Let's see what we got. Space Rain, Dog Burger, Chef Kabong's Sticky Surprise, Dirty Pretzel with a 1% chance to kill? I'll take 100 of those, please.